Today we're going to talk about Chapter 12, Sample Surveys. Why sample? So there's types of sample designs. First, voluntary response sample. People choose themselves to be in the sample by responding to a general appeal. Example, post an advertisement in the RHS Rampage asking students to respond. Problem, people with strong opinions, often strong negative opinions, are more likely to reply, so they are overrepresented in the sample. A convenience sample. Individuals that are easiest to reach are chosen for the sample. Example, using students in your AP Stat class as your sample. The problem with that is the group chosen may not be diverse enough to represent all students at Poolesville High School. Samples that favor certain outcomes are biased. Random selection helps eliminate bias from your sample choice. Simple random sample, also denoted with SRS. Individuals are selected so that all possible combinations of individuals are equally likely to be chosen. Example, generate a list of student ID numbers for all students at RHS, then randomly select 100 student ID numbers and use those students for the sample. Systemic random sampling. The first individual in a is selected at random. Then a system or rule is used to select the remaining individuals. An example would be obtain an alphabetized list of all students at RHS. Randomly select one of the first 10 students and include every 10th person on the list after that in the sample. Stratified random sample. Divide the population into different homogeneous groups known as strata. Take a random sample from each group strata to form a full sample. An example would be divide all the students at RHS into 4 groups, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Then select a simple random sample of 25 students from each grade level. Cluster sample. Divide the population into groups assumed to be similar to each other. Randomly select several groups or clusters and include all members of those groups in the sample. An example would be to list all the classes, subject and period at RHS. Randomly select 4 of the classes and include all the students in each of those classes in the sample. Multi-stage sample. Combine 2 or more sampling strategies or levels of sampling. Ergo, divide the population into strata and randomly select several subgroups or clusters from each strata. An example would be divide the school into departments: math, English, science, art, social sciences. Randomly select one teacher from each department. Then randomly select one class taught by each teacher selected and include all students from those classes in the sample. Although random selection eliminates bias from our choice of sample, it does not guarantee that our sample is representative of the population. Potential problems include undercoverage. Some groups are left out of the select process for the sample. An example, students in work study, early release, or suspension, or at field trips are absent may be left out of the sample. Non-response. Individuals selected for the sample cannot be contacted or they refuse to participate. An example would be a student chosen from the sample may refuse to divulge information or may be absent. Response bias. The behavior of the individual or of the interviewer may influence the accuracy of the response. An example would be students may lie about drug or alcohol use. The wording of questions. Confusing or leading questions influence responses. Poorly worded questions will not yield accurate or meaningful results. An example would be, By using a graphing calculator, students in Algebra 1 courses are able to make visual connection between equations and their graphs, reinforcing difficult concepts. Do you think graphing calculators are overused?